There's a new day dawning, the time is at hand, where the glory of the Lord will be revealed to every man. Open the door, open the door, open the door, and let the King of Glory in. Open the door. Open the door, open the door, and let the King of Glory in.
All right, let the King of Glory in. Open up the door starts right now, so fling wide through heavenly gates and prepare the way of the risen Lord. The Apostle John was on the island of Patmos. He was imprisoned for the testimony of Jesus Christ. And he heard a sound behind him, and he said, behold, I looked. There was a door standing open in heaven, and I heard a voice which was like a trumpet speaking with me, saying, come up here. I want to show you some things that must take place. That's what we need, my friends. We need a heavenly perspective of the things that are going on in the world around us. The things that the Word of God foretold us would come to pass. Those things which must take place. And those things which are taking place even now. That is what this broadcast is all about, discussing the issues of the day, discerning the times in which we live from a biblical perspective and worldview. Good afternoon, everybody. Andy White here, and what you are about to hear is the fusion of heart, mind, and soul. And I'm back in the saddle here at Faith FM on the east end of Long Island from a 2-week hiatus. But I want to welcome everybody back from all across the fruited plain and all around the spherical globe. Thanks for tuning in to this week's brand new I'm Alive and Well, Open Up the Doors edition. Hey, do me a favor. I am streaming live on my YouTube channel. If you want to share this, please go up. Number one, hook up over there on YouTube. Go over to Andy White, Open Up the Doors. If you've never subscribed to my YouTube channel, hit that subscription button, hit that little bell, and you'll be notified when we do these live excursions into the integrity of broadcasting here at Open Up the Doors. Yeah, I'm going to use a new tagline too. Integrity in broadcasting. I'll mention that sometime later. I got a lot I want to talk about, not having been here for a couple of weeks. But I am streaming live on YouTube. Please share this into your streams. Grab that YouTube URL and post it on MeWe, post it on Gab, post it on Paula, post it wherever you can get away with posting it. And please, please, please share this and encourage people to come over here to Open Up the Doors and join in the conversation there in the chat room on the live stream. We are streaming, of course, all across the internet here from hamptonschristian.com. If you're outside of the Faith FM broadcast area here on the east end of Long Island, the best way to listen to Faith FM would be to download the free Faith FM app. We have the free app for your Android. We have it for your Apple platforms. It's great because we've got listeners from all over the fruited plain, and I hear the app works really, really well. You can also follow me on Parler at AJWhite777. If you guys, I was on Parler last night, and I was just tearing it up. Live tweeting. They don't call it tweeting on Parler, but I was just live commenting during Joe Biden's speech last night, and it was a lot of fun. Just, bantering back and forth with people as we were critiquing that awesome speech. I won't go there right now. I got a lot of other stuff I want to discuss, but I think I got my preliminaries a little bit out of the way for the moment anyway. But hey, did you see this? Because this is the perfect kickoff for today's broadcast. I mean, when you lose liberal stalwart Bill Maher, that's saying something. Bill Maher on his show, which I don't watch at all, but I saw the video clips because every once in a while, I know I say this every time Bill Maher says something I agree with, which is very, very rare, but every once in a while he hits the nail on the head. But Bill Maher in his broadcast, I don't know, last week, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, he was addressing the millennials. He was kind of reproving and rebuking the millennials. Now remember, Bill Maher is, as I said a moment ago, he's a stalwart liberal. But he said this. This is a quote. Abolish the police. the Border Patrol, abolish capitalism, cancel Abraham Lincoln. The problem isn't that I don't get what you're saying or that I'm old. The problem is your ideas are stupid. Yes. Thumbs up for Bill Maher to point out that these ideas are stupid. And folks, there's a whole lot of stupid ideas making their way through the fabric of our society in these days. In fact, I have a clip here because I hope I can get this clip to play right, because I didn't download the clip. I'm just going to play it off of my iPhone, and I'll quote the clip after the audio plays. But I want to play this audio because, I can read you the quote, but it just doesn't have the same effect. So I want to play this audio so you could hear it, because when I came across this clip, I had to play it a couple of times. I'm like, what? What is this guy saying? Now, this clip is from a state assemblyman in Texas, a Democrat assemblyman his last name is Congressman Tallarico, and he's speaking before the state's public education committee. They were having a hearing because the conservatives in the state, well, they're weighing out whether they should ban biological males from playing in girls, high school K through 12 sports. So there's a bill, obviously, going through the state legislature there, seeking to ban, again, these transgender biological males. We see this going on all across the country. But you got to hear what this state assemblyman said. Okay, let me see if I can get this working here.
The thing I want us all to be aware of is that modern science obviously recognizes that there are many more than two biological sexes. In fact, there are six, which honestly, Representative Hefner, surprised me too. With you now. Surprised me too, because I am not well versed in this issue area. I'm not a scientist. I'm a politician. A lot worse than a scientist.
All right, that's all I want to play. Okay. I'll quote what you just heard, in case you didn't quite get it over the radio. But I thought it came in pretty clear. Modern science, obviously recognizes that there are many more than two biological sexes. Really now, what modern science book are you reading? What high school biology, college biology on any level? What planet are you living on? Modern science obviously recognizes that there are many more than two biological sexes, Tallarico said. In fact, there are six. Six. And then he admits, he admits then, that honestly surprised me. It should. Hello. It surprised me too, because, well, I'm not well versed in this issue here. Really? How old are you, Congressman Representative Tallarico? You're not well versed in this issue of male and female, really? Have you been cloistered somewhere in a cave that you don't know that there are two sexes, male and female? You're not well versed in this area? You're not a scientist? Really? You're a politician. Yeah, there we go. I'm a politician. Stupid on steroids. Stupidity. Folks, I'm bringing all this up because I think it ought to be said that it is without a controversy that America, along with the rest of Western civilization, is being handed over to a spirit of stupidity. And it's becoming abundantly clear with me each and every passing day that the spirit of this age is a spirit of stupidity. There can't be any doubt about it whatsoever. I see it happening day after day after day. America is being handed over to a mindlessness, a mindless stupidity, a stupid mind. How do you get a society to believe, or at least to go along with the idea that there are a multiplicity of ever-increasing and fluidic genders? How do you get a grown man to his surprise, find out that there are six genders? Well, actually, if you come to New York City, the New York City Department of whoever keeps track of these things, I think there's actually 62 or 65 genders according to them, but I digress. But how do you get a society to believe that a woman can become a man and that men can become women? How do you get a school system? How do you get educators to believe that biological males pretending to be women ought to be allowed to compete in women's sports? That is not biology. That is not science. That is mindless stupidity. And I'm just going to call it out for what it is. You might not like my brashness on this, but come on. We need to wake up and stop going along with the stupid zeitgeist that's out there. Because I won't go there. But how do you get a sane individual, ostensibly sane, to believe men can have menstrual cycles and can have babies? How do you get educators to teach and believe that math is racist? That striving to get the correct answer in a mathematical equation is a sign of white supremacy? How do you get people to believe such idiocy? Well, stick with me. I'm going to get there in a moment. But speaking of math, which was never one of my strong points, by the way. I'm the first to admit it. My worst subject was math. But did you hear about this one? Did you hear about this one on the hit parade of this week's Stupid? The state of Virginia Department of Education is abolishing advanced math. Why? Because it's racist. Because the state of Virginia is seeking to eliminate special courses in advanced mathematics for high school students before the 11th grade. Now, why in heaven's name would you do this? Like I said, I was never good in math, but when I was coming through high school, there was a lot of my friends. They were really good in math, and they went into the advanced math class because you know what? If they've got the ability and the wherewithal to really get into calculus and all this other stuff. I'm lucky I could do 2 + 2 = 4. I'm lucky I struggled. Oh my God, did I struggle in 3rd grade learning the times table. I never really got the times table under wraps until I was in my 30s, I think it was. But when you have people who have this capability, they've got mathematical minds. You want to you used to anyway. You used to want to be able to nurture that and exploit that for their benefit and for the benefit of society. Because you know what? We need scientists. We need mathematicians. We need people that can that can what's the word I'm looking for? That could put all these equations together to get rockets up into space, to get men to land on the moon. It's all math. So it's good to have advanced math studies for those who have that comprehension. But no, not anymore. In the state of Virginia, they're going to get rid of advanced math up to almost senior year. Why? In order to foster equity, of course. Remember a few weeks ago, I talked to you about equity, and they keep using this word over and over and over again, and it's not what I don't think it means what they think it means. And it doesn't. Because they want to foster equity in order to foster the spirit of egalitarian stupidity, in my view, and prevent any student from excelling. It's just not fair. It's just not fair that some students advance in math over others. That's not fair. So we're going to hold them back with everybody else. That's their idea of equity. Here's a quote from a Virginia educrat named Jennifer Allard. Quote, "Many of our students do not have access to the mathematics that they will need, either in their personal or professional adult lives." Well, we'll just keep them back from getting it at all then. That's not part of the quote. I'm just interdicting into her quote because I can't believe this insanity. But I'll further her quote. Listen to the words here, folks. I told you this way back in, I think it was February. There's going to be a lot of catchphrases, equity and stakeholder, and different phrases that the the global reset people, the New World Order people, the globalists are going to be using over and over and over again. Listen to what this Virginia educrat said. Many of our students do not have access to the mathematics that they will need either in their personal or professional adult lives. The issue of inequity in mathematics education makes it essential for us to initiate serious discussions among a variety of stakeholders to achieve the critical mass necessary to catalyze change in school mathematics. Inequity and stakeholders. Do you have to hear anything else besides that? This isn't about math. This is about an agenda to dumb everyone down to this equilibrium of stupidity. And I'll say it again. The truth is that some people are really good at math and others are not. And it ought to be a matter of national interest that we encourage those who are clever at math to excel. But in this new normal of stupidity, well, that's just not fair. It's not equitable that those who are clever at math should be given even more opportunities to excel. You see, folks, the Jennifer Allens of this world and others of her ilk believe in pursuing the lowest common denominator in the name of equity. Make everyone equally dumb, which, of course, is what our opponents in China and Russia and Iran, they'll only applaud this. Yeah, folks, you Americans are so stupid. Yeah, that's what they're doing. They're laughing at us. And this is how the left works. If we can't be equal in academic excellence, then let's be equal in stupidity. And I've covered this whole thing about egalitarianism in the past, but it's coming to new levels. Because this is the left's idea of equity, but it's nothing other than Marxist egalitarianism. Or as Winston Churchill so aptly put it so long ago, socialism is a philosophy of failure, the creed of ignorance, and the gospel of envy. Its inherent virtue is the equal sharing of misery. Maybe to update it, its inherent virtue is the equal sharing of stupidity, he might say today. The bottom line of this nonsense is that it's not math. It's social engineering and grooming for the puppet masters of the Great Reset. Let me read another. Let me give you another quote from this exchange here. This debate that's going on in the Virginia Department of Education. Quote: offering an inclusive learning environment that engages and challenges students of varied levels of understanding and different interests will be a focus of the common mathematics pathways proposed in grades K through 10. This is such convoluted nonsense. An inclusive learning environment? If I'm sitting next to an Alfred Einstein, you're going to bore him to death in your inclusivity. See, we don't think that way anymore because we don't believe anymore in a meritocracy. We don't believe in rewarding those who excel in things anymore. I'll go on with this quote. These pathways seek to restructure mathematics education by focusing instruction on reasoning, real-world problem-solving, communication, and connections, while shifting away from an emphasis on computation and routine problem practice. In other words, I'll say it again, that's not math. It's social engineering. It may be philosophy of a sort, but it's not math. It's a spirit of stupidity. Folks, those that are leading America are leading it over a cliff. Those that are teaching in the state-run indoctrination centers, formerly known as schools, are teaching children falsehoods, lies, and myths. Objective truth has become verboten, and falsehoods have taken the place of truth. It's not about education. It's about indoctrination. And I'll say something I've been saying for years. If you've got kids in the public school system, you need to get them out of there as fast as possible, if possible. Get them into a private school. Get them into a charter school. Better yet, homeschool them if at all possible. America is being handed over to a mindless stupidity. Now, let me put that in theological terms, because there is something behind what I'm saying here, folks. I'm not just ranting for the sake of ranting. You see, in theological terms, the Bible calls it being handed over to a debased mind. We read in the book of Romans that when a society and a culture as a whole resolutely and determinedly seek to suppress the truth in unrighteousness, that their ignorance is then without excuse. When that society further becomes futile in their thoughts, with their foolish hearts being darkened, so that professing themselves to be wise, they actually become fools, and their downward spiral into miasmic stupor is sealed. Therefore, we are told in the book of Romans that since they willfully have exchanged the truth of God for the lie, therefore God gave them over to a debased mind. God hands that society over to a debased mind, a reprobate mind, a dokimos in the Greek. A dokimos in the Greek means a mind that fails the test and is unapproved. In other words, it means a mind that is not acting like a mind that fails the test of being a mind. You could say a dokimos means. Therefore, it is rejected as worthless. And now, the Bible says, God hands them over to it. They then become a society filled with their own depravities, delusions, and deceits. A whole society operating under the spirit and influence of a debased mind. That is what Paul is describing in Romans 1:18 through 32. Folks, it is a moral and cultural catastrophe. A people handed over by God to wallow in their insanity, their mindlessness. That is what it amounts to. That is really what it amounts to. And what Paul wrote and described over 2,000 years ago, mark my words, is precisely what we see going on in our nation right now. Societally, politically, governmentally, and culturally, America has lost its collective mind. And now we are a nation that is being handed over to its own stupidity. Being handed over to its own self-destruction. Our destruction doesn't even have to come as a direct act of God, although I happen to think that it's coming as well. Nevertheless, brothers and sisters, all God needs to do is simply step aside and hand us over to our own deceits and devices. As the psalmist Asaph lamented, so I gave them over to their stubborn hearts, Psalm 81. I gave them over to their stubborn hearts to follow their own devices. Stick around, folks. I got a whole lot more coming up. But we're going to take a little bit of a Selah break right now. Here's a new tune I heard the other day that I really liked. It's called Rise Up by a group called Cain.
In the dark and all alone.
Rise Up, a brand new tune from a group called Cain. Up from the tomb like Lazarus. Rise up, church. Welcome back. Andy White here. You are listening to Open Up the Doors, Integrity in Broadcasting. Here on Faith FM, WEGB 90.7 and 93.3 in Nepean, WEGQ 91.7 in Quad. Thanks for joining in. If you are just joining in, maybe in the middle of the broadcast, we are streaming live over at YouTube right now. So go on over there and join in the conversation. But I'm going to continue with my conversation here, my monologue, really. I'd like to have a conversation. Every once in a while, I check out the comments in the comment stream. If anybody shoots me some questions or wants me to share something in regards to the topic I'm talking about, I do scan through my comments here on YouTube. And if you'd like me to address something, shoot me a question. And if I catch it, I'll catch it. All righty. But, getting back to the topic at hand, somebody has said somewhere, I don't know who, but it has been said that it's hard to win an argument with a smart person, but it's darn near impossible to win an argument with a stupid one. To put that in more biblical terms, professing themselves to be wise, they become fools. Oh, there's so much I could talk about on this week's hit parade of, let's call it Stuck on Stupid. The Stuck on Stupid hit parade. Here's a great one. I heard this the other day and I went, what? Simply no words. But this past week or last week sometime, there was a climate control meeting. I forgot what it was called. It was called, here it is. The U.S. John Kerry, who of course is the climate control czar for the Biden administration. He was speaking at a leaders summit on climate. And he said, this was a week ago, in fact, Thursday. And he said that, let me quote, John Kerry said Thursday that carbon dioxide emissions reaching a net zero would not be enough to prevent climate change. That in itself is like, yeah, okay, so then why are you spending trillions of dollars on this nonsense if you're admitting it's not going to do anything? But here's the real clunker that I just shook my head and went, what? John Kerry, quote, you said twice, speaking to others at the conference, you said twice getting to net zero is going to be hard, really hard. And I just want to remind everybody that it will depend on whether or not we have breakthrough technologies. Some breakthrough inventions, number one. But even if we get to net zero, we still have, here is the line of note, folks. Here's the line of note. But even if we get to net zero, we still have to get carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. Now, I don't know, this is supposed to be the party of science. I don't know if anybody's told John Kerry, who's not a scientist, by the way. I don't know what he is, actually, besides a bloviating. Well, I won't go there. We need to get carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. Well, that would end life on Earth. I mean, trees breathe in carbon dioxide. I don't call it breathing, but it's transpiring, but they take in carbon dioxide. And you know what they, quote unquote, exhale, trees? I'm sure, but this is Earth Science. This is Earth Science 101, folks. Trees bring in carbon dioxide and they exhale oxygen. And who needs oxygen? Well, of course, we do. So if you eliminated carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and I want you to note, I listened to the video clip. He didn't, people say you're taking it out of context. That's the context. He didn't say anything else. He said we need to eliminate carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. We have to get carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. That is what he said. There was no mitigating factors afterwards. I mean, hello? We need technology to take carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. It's called trees, John. It's called trees. The technology for removing CO2 from the atmosphere is called trees. Now, I know that we can go into a whole other issue with how we deforestation and all that. I'm all for planting trees. I plant trees, sort of, for a living. I'm a landscaper. We're into planting trees and shrubs and everything. And it's just not trees, of course. The plankton in the oceans, what's the word I'm looking for? They do photosynthesis as well. They're taking in carbon dioxide, all that algae out there in the ocean too. So let's increase the algae population. Let's plant trees. But the long and short of it is that we cannot take carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere, Mr. Kerry. I think there's a lot here that I really don't want to digress into, because he did admit that even if we got to net zero in America, which we almost have, honestly, we've already surpassed the restrictions from the Paris climate, whatever that thing was called, climate control, whatever that Paris climate thing was called. I forgot the name of it right now. But either way, he admits China's not doing anything about it. India's not doing anything about it. So America is going to spend trillions and trillions of dollars. We're going to wreck our economy because we're going to put on this virtue signaling, and it's not going to do anything. But I don't want to belabor that point, because I just want to go through this hit parade of stupidity. My whole premise here is, folks, America is being handed over to a spirit of stupidity for over a year. I've been saying that wearing masks outside is ridiculous and useless. That's what the real epidemiologists have said from the beginning. Wearing masks outside is absolutely useless. Coronavirus doesn't spread outside. Sunlight kills the virus. It gets taken away in the atmosphere. I've been saying this for over a year, not because I'm a genius, but because I actually do the studies. Well, finally, it's actually leaking out through the CDC. And even Fauci last week, even Fauci this past Sunday, essentially admitted it. Wearing masks outside. Now, of course, he's putting it in the context of the vaccination. But either way, he still slipped by saying, well, it's really not needed outside. Well, but here's where I want to go with this, because this is stupidity on steroids. This is common sense. This is a sad story. I came across this story this past week. A girl in high school was running an 800-meter race. She was running this 800-meter race in track and field. Now, I was in high school. I ran track, believe it or not, back in the day. I ran track. When you're running track, when you're doing a 440 or you're doing a 220 or whatever it is, now they talk about meters. Back then it was yards. But, you know, the more you run, the more you breathe, the more you're going to suck in air. She's running this race wearing a mask. Where are the idiot adults? Why would the coach let this poor girl or anybody in that track meet? Why would the school educators, the educrats, allow students playing a track and field or any sport to be wearing masks, which don't need to be worn outside to begin with, much less in physical exertion of sports? It's insanity. Anyway, this poor girl, as she's running this 800-meter race, just before the finish line, she collapses. She collapses because she was asphyxiated on her own carbon dioxide, breathing in through this mask. So now, this was in Oregon, folks. The Oregon Health Authority has decided they need to revisit their mask mandates. Duh! Let me quote from this news story. The Oregon Health Authority regularly reviews COVID-19 guidance based on medical evidence and evolving science. Oh, there's their catchphrase, evolving science. Nothing has evolved in the science. This hasn't been about science from day one. It's been about compliance. It's been about politics, not science. The science never changed. The politics did. Anyway, the Oregon Health Authority has said, we are revising the current guidance on the use of masks during outdoor competition. Well, thank you very much. The guidance will allow people to take off face coverings when competing, as though you didn't know that in the first place. What is motivating you people? I'm sorry, folks, if it sounds like I'm getting a little hot, but I am. This stuff ought to anger you. This stuff ought to bring an indignation in you, because common sense has been destroyed in this country over moral cowardice and a pandemic of stupidity. And these people that are forcing children as young as 2 to wear masks is beyond stupidity. It's insanity. I got to hurry along here. You know what? Oh man. I got to hurry along. Bottom line is this. I want to read something to you before I go to a break. German pastor, theologian, anti-Nazi dissident Dietrich Bonhoeffer, while sitting in a Nazi prison before his execution, wrote a number of letters and essays in a work we now know as Letters and Papers from Prison. One of these essays that he wrote, he titled it On Stupidity, and it reflects on one of the major problems that Bonhoeffer saw was at work in Hitler's rise to power. As Bonhoeffer explained in his essay, quote, if we want to know how to get the better of stupidity, we must seek to understand its nature. This much is certain, that it is in essence not an intellectual defect, but a human one. There are human beings who are of remarkable agile intellect, yet they're stupid. Others who are intellectually quite dull, yet anything but stupid. The impression one gains is not so much that stupidity is a congenital defect, but that under certain circumstances, people are made stupid, or that they allow this to happen to them. And this is precisely what we are experiencing in this current zeitgeist in America, folks. Stupidity. Self-made stupidity. Almost every strata of our society, from government to education to entertainment to corporations to almost anything you can name, is being run by highly educated yet spiritually depraved individuals who possess an uncanny ability to operate in unfathomable stupidity. Perhaps you've noticed it, because I certainly have. The spirit of stupid, and that's what I'm going to call it, the spirit of stupid, is on the ascendancy in America, and it's salivating for complete control. Make no mistake about it. There is nothing more dangerous than a debased mind of a fool with power, cracking a whip of the stupidity to keep people in a state of fearful compliance. It's the tyranny of stupidity, and America is being handed over to that tyranny of stupidity. And I got a lot more I wanted to share in this block, but I got to take a break. I wanted to talk about Dr. Rachel Levine. Oh, hopefully I'll get to her, him, when I come back. Stick around, folks. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. I got to take a break. Here's Phil Wickham. The battle belongs to the Lord. The fusion of heart, mind, and soul. This is Open Up the Doors with Danny White here on Faith FM, WEGB 90.7, 93.3 in Epi, WEGQ 91.7 in Quad. And I just want to say, yes and amen, yes and amen, yes and amen to that Gary Bauer clip. That little spot by Gary Bauer on last night's Joe Biden speech, which I really don't have time to talk about today. That's why I kind of popped that in a little bit of an update from last night. But I just didn't have that in my notes for today because I wanted to talk about this other stuff. But welcome back here if you're tuning in. This is we got the one more segment here, one more block here, and Open Up the Doors. Real quickly, if you've never subscribe to my YouTube channel, please go on over there. Andy White, Open Up the Doors. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are also on Rumble. We're loading our videos over there as well because YouTube is censoring and cracking down and deleting and censoring all kinds of stuff. So we're also on Rumble as a backup as far as our videos go. Listen, I want to really plug this. I want to really push and exhort and encourage you to please go on over and join the Open Up the Doors group on connectzing.com. I got a group page over there. It operates just like a Facebook group page. You guys can join the group, post stuff that you want to post there. What I like about it is it's troll free, and on Facebook is you're able to share things without being censored. Sign up and join over on the new social media platform connectzing.com. I have a personal profile page there, as well as the Open Up the Doors group page. And I really want to encourage you to join that group page and get involved there. It's there for us to network together and to share the things that we see happening in our culture, in our society, from a biblical worldview, and of course, being in these last times, in these last days as well. So again, connectzing.com. If you haven't signed up, please do it. It works and operates very much like Facebook, without the censorship and without the trolling and without the ads. There's no ads over there either, by the way. All right, I'm going to move on because I'm running out of time, and there's some stuff I wanted to get to with today's topic. We've got some of the most unqualified, stupid people, quote unquote, ruling over us in America 2021. And I can go down the list of the list of alphabet agencies. They're all being handed over to corruption and all kinds of things. But the CDC's reign of error has done incalculable harm to America, along with the whole host of other state-sponsored, quote-unquote, experts. As I said in the last block, America is being handed over to the tyranny of stupidity. And here is the poster child, really, in so many ways, of the things I've been getting at today. God handed them over to a debased mind, to a reprobate mind, because they suppressed the truth in unrighteousness, and they rejected the truth of God for the lie. Have you heard about Dr. Rachel Levine? Don't let the name fool you. Dr. Rachel isn't a she, it's a he. And only in a zeitgeist of moral cowardice and stupidity could someone like Dr. Levine be appointed and confirmed into the Department of HHS in the United States of America. A transvestite, transgender, biological man. I'm sure you've seen the pictures. I'm sure you know about this person, this man who's masquerading as a woman. Someone who is clearly, someone who is clearly mentally disturbed is running our Health and Human Service Department. If that isn't Romans 1, folks, coming to life in front of you, I don't know what is. Someone who thinks it's okay to help transform the gender of little children and pump puberty blockers into them. This is the person running our Health and Human Service Department in the United States of America. You know this person. You've seen the pictures of Rachel Levine. He's a guy who kind of looks to me like Tiny Tim with bleached blonde hair. But this guy's not tiptoeing through the tulips, mind you. He's running amok, making wreckage of the health department. This guy, Rachel Levine, was the head of the health department in Pennsylvania. And they did the same thing in Pennsylvania that Cuomo did by putting elderly COVID-infected seniors into nursing homes. Except Levine took his elderly mother out of the nursing home, out of the private care facility. While he was in charge of putting all these other elderly people into nursing homes, he took his mom out. He used the deflection that the care facility that his mom was in fell under the jurisdiction of the Department of Human Services and not his own agency. But that is, to me, a distinction without a distinction. The bottom line is this. The state of Pennsylvania was putting other people's grandmas into nursing homes, and he was the head of the health department there, but he took his own mother out. Now hear me. I don't blame him. I don't blame him for wanting to get his mother out, and that he did it. But he was the head of the health department of Pennsylvania. Why didn't he do that for others? Why didn't he push to have that disastrous policy revoked and overturned in Pennsylvania? And don't hide behind, well, that was a different department, really. Levine was Pennsylvania's Secretary of Health. And there were over 20,000 deaths in Pennsylvania of COVID. And more than 50%, folks, more than 50% of that 20,000, it was almost 11,000 deaths, were from nursing homes that were under the direct, the direct leadership, if you will, of Rachel Levine and the governor of Pennsylvania, Governor Wolf. And yet, having said all of that, the Biden administration appointed this guy, and the Senate confirmed him to be head of the Department of HHS in D.C. And don't think for a moment, folks, don't think for a moment that the Biden administration did this because of this guy's good reputation and this guy's good expert advice. No. It was totally because they wanted to put an obvious transgender into a position to virtue signal to the LGBT crowd how woke they are. Between her manifest insanity, along with the corrupt and stupid policymakers over at the CDC, the real pandemic to worry about in America is a pandemic of stupidity. Why are they vaccinating children for coronavirus even though they are not a serious risk factor? Why? It's about conditioning. Why are they making children wear masks even though the actual science shows it's unnecessary and actually even more harmful to children? Why? It's about conditioning. Everyone knows children aren't affected by this virus, but the whip of stupidity must be cracked to enforce the lie. And folks, when the ruling class doesn't want you to breathe freely or eat a hamburger or drive a car or own a car or celebrate the 4th of July, when the ruling class doesn't want people to excel in school because of equity, or they don't want you to go mourn for your your deceased loved one at a funeral, when they want to keep us from praying in church, when they want to keep us from visiting dying loved ones, to pursue your American birthright of freedom. We have a problem, folks, in America. Houston, we have a problem. No. America, we have a problem. Another quote from Bonhoeffer's work on stupidity. Upon closer observation, Bonhoeffer wrote, it becomes apparent that every strong upsurge of power in the public sphere, be it of a political or religious nature, infects a large part of humankind with stupidity. The power of the one needs the stupidity of the other. He, the stupid one, is under a spell, blinded, misused, and abused in his very being. Having thus become a mindless tool, the stupid person will also be capable of any evil, and at the same time incapable of seeing that it is evil. This is where the danger of diabolical misuse lurks, for it is this that can once and for all destroy human beings. The bottom line is this: Bonhoeffer was ultimately concluding that the reason the Nazi Party, though it was actually the minority in Germany, was able to accomplish all the evil that it did was because German society was brought under the spell of stupidity. And that same spirit, folks, has played out multiple times throughout history. And now we must contend with it here in America. It is a spirit of stupor, just as it is written. God gave them a spirit of stupor. Why? Why this spirit of stupor? Because it is a last days supernatural deception through which God will work out, folks, his divine purposes, and he will have the final say. Just as we have been forewarned that the coming of the lawless one is according to the working of Satan, with all power, signs, and lying wonders, and with all unrighteous deception among those who perish, because they did not receive the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this reason, God will send them strong delusion, that they should believe the lie. Those who have exchanged the truth of God for a lie are without excuse. And it is for this reason God hands them over to that debased mind, handed over to believe lies, handed over to believe stupidity, handed over to make themselves stupid. What else could possibly explain what it is we're seeing here in America? America, it's stuck on stupid, and its prophets of Baal are deaf, dumb, blind, and stupid, and they deserve to be mocked. Someone said to me the other day, why are you mocking these people? Because they deserve to be mocked, just like Elijah mocked the prophets of Baal at Mount Carmel and said, the God who answers by fire, he is God. And the days are coming, my friends, that God is going to answer by fire. The only way, I've only got a minute left or less. Let me end here. The only way, in closing, to break free from the gravitational pull of the stupidity of this present age, spirit of the age, this present zeitgeist, the only way to break free from that peer pressure, from that moral cowardice, is what the Bible tells us, that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. The Word of God teaches us that a person's inward liberation from foolishness and deception, and to live responsibly and intelligently before God, is the only real cure to stupidity. And I am absolutely out of time. I got to go. Thanks, folks, for tuning in. I'll be back next week. Hope you tune in again. In the meantime, watch, stand fast. Stand fast in the faith. Be brave, be strong, and let all that you do be done in love. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Got to run.